Hey guys, how's it going?
What's up, man?
Hey, buddy.
Uh, this is an aptly named uh, episode of the podcast of the Summoner's Circle. Jay, why don't you share what you're naming our podcast? I think it's
To
perfect.
me, my Xmen.
And the reason for that is tonight will be a deep dive by two huge comic book fans who definitely watched the episode and a big fan of fun who just couldn't find time tonight, but that's okay. So we're gonna fill in the holes and we're gonna get his live reactions.
Yeah,
Um,
I will have my camera on shortly so that you guys can all see my face.
Hell
as
yeah.
There we
will
are.
I. Coco unfortunately was unable to make it tonight. He had real life stuff, personal stuff that he had to take care of. He will be very much missed, and I want to make sure I get one piece of information in. He is saying, if you got a bullseye, you rank that bullseye. He has done exceptional things with his 5-star ascended bullseye. So I'm going to let him go into that more next week, but try it out, test it, tweet at him, let him know what you think.
Yeah.
All right, so Jay, first, happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you.
Happy birthday.
And
22,
second,
baby.
what did you
Oh, you
think?
feeling 22?
No, I've had that too many times today. Too many times today.
My daughter's a Swiftie, bro, so that was the first thing that popped into my head.
Dude, pass your Coco as well. Like, Coco did the same.
Yeah. Jay, what'd you think of the huge piece of Marvel content that I think we've all been waiting for a really long time that dropped today?
I loved it, man. I loved it, dude. Oh, man. X-Men 97, man.
I was blown away personally. It
Touches my soul.
was everywhere. Yeah, it felt good for my heart, truly. Like I felt brought back into the fandom. You know, it's been a bit for me. Hey, there's no hair.
Oh, my goodness. You do
Whoa,
look
he-
different.
I know. It's gone.
Who is that guy?
Yeah.
Hi.
Wow.
I just
So,
zoomed in on your face. I want everyone who's watching the video to see it.
Well, the beard's coming back, and it will be back sooner, hopefully, rather than later. But the hair went real short.
Wow.
Still got it all though.
You
so
got
I'm
shorter
pretty
hair than I
happy.
do. Hey, yeah, wow, shorter than KB.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just went pretty short today too.
Crazy.
We did this last week though, so if you can only imagine
Oh
how
wow,
short this
yeah.
was,
Yeah.
you could see everything. It was the first time I've ever gone that short. It'll be the last time, but it was an experience. Very cold right now though. I did that thinking that we were in El Nino, and then that stopped, and we had snow the next day, and it's been freezing, and my head is so cold.
Uh-oh.
The
But
suspense.
yeah,
I just,
Oh.
you cut out as you did
oh,
that.
did I?
Yeah.
Let me
Like
fix
right
that.
on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. We were like waiting for you to say something.
There we
That's
go.
funny.
Everything better? Am I smoothed out? We're
Yeah,
good?
you're good. You're good.
You're good.
Fantastic. So let's get back to the X-Men stuff. So I was blown away. This was everything I wanted. This was honestly what I needed to get reinvigorated, I think. To kind of know that there is a plan. And not that, I doubted Feige is Feige. And yeah, people can say there's misses, but I think we expected a lot from more characters that aren't their top sellers. And they hit gold with some characters, as I mentioned before, like Iron Man and Thor, who were never on the bestseller lists or, people's drop box, like comic boxes at the stores. I was the weird one who had Thor comics in my box. Most people didn't. Nobody had Captain America books. It was X-Men.
I had
It's
one.
always been X-Men. That's what it's been for most people throughout from as way back as like the 80s, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
when they hit like, a real stride.
Oh yeah, Chris
It's
Claremont's
been the
run.
X-Men. Yeah, exactly. So it's been the X-Men, and it will always be. So this was this was perfect. I have so many thoughts, and so many crazy theories and ideas that I really look forward to going over with you guys tonight.
Yeah.
But let's start this off real fast with Jay. What did you what do you think of the opening? Like the introduction back into the uh, the world of X-Men '97
Oh
and
man,
the
surreal, surreal,
Roberta.
surreal, man, surreal.
Yeah,
I really appreciate how. Well, first off, the freaking intro is back. Like, I'm so
yeah,
like they modified it. Like it's like it's an updated version of it, which is really cool, and they've added some things new, to it
definitely.
as well, which is really exciting. Morph finally kept
Morph,
getting in the intro.
Pro- Professor Xavier's there, and we
Yes.
actually get like a breakdown of him. But the Morph was so exciting. I saw that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
he's really in the show now. So that's awesome.
Dude. Absolutely. The yeah, no, like going straight. Okay, so they intro. So we got to start off like at the beginning for this one, right? Um,
Absolutely.
which it starts off It starts off at out of with Sunspot, because you guys are gonna know Sunspot. You're not gonna know his real name, Roberto DaCosta.
Roberta.
Yeah. So
Well, I have thoughts on the Costa name being mentioned, just to point out. But yeah,
um,
definitely.
man, I'm looking at a screenshot right now. There's a missing poster
Mhm.
for Marrow. I didn't even realize that.
Oh yeah,
That's crazy. I just looked at that.
I noticed that. That was in my notes. I'm like, did you guys see the Marrow thing?
That's
That's
cool,
my girl.
dude. That's it. Um, yeah. So man, dude, the freaking. So he's kidnapped basically, and you get straight into like you're with Sunspot, and he's getting kidnapped, and these guys don't care about money. They just want to get rid of him because he's a mutant. They want to suppress his powers. Like they just throw you straight into the world, which I think is
Declaration
cool,
was done perfectly.
and
Yeah.
which like Jubilee in the original show, because he for everything he's Jubilee, because that's how the intro started in the original show, the pilot episode. So it's like really cool the way they did this, and the X Men
They
come and
mirrored it
save him,
perfectly.
and he gets brought back to the X Mansion just like Jubilee. Jubilee even says, "This happened to me when I first met the X Men." Like it was really cool. I
Yeah,
loved it. I
it
loved it a
was
lot.
it was super exciting. So seeing Sunspot show up, that's he's always been there for a long time.
Hmm.
He's been there. He was a member of the New Mutants. He's been around for as long as like longer than Jubes. Like he's been around forever. He was there, and seeing him, I will be honest, I didn't remember the trailer for the show.
Right. Yeah.
So the ending of the first episode, which we will get to,
Yeah.
is shown though in the trailer for the show.
Yes.
But seeing Sunspot and then seeing the end of the first episode, those two moments kind of set the bar for where we're going. If you're a fan, you see Sunspot and your brain goes, what could they do with him? He's been around forever. And you're trying to place what they're going to do with him, because during the time period where they're in these outfits, he's not actually around. Like
Hmm.
he's gone doing something else. So why is he here? But they're moving his story to a new time, but they're keeping it in line
Yes.
based on what we saw at the end. And that's so exciting because
Yeah.
there's so many cool storylines that could come up. But yeah, that seeing Sunspot show up was, I love him. He's always been one of my favorites. But there's actually something I wanted to mention that we kind of skirted by for a second there,
Hmm.
and it is during the rescue scene. That rescue scene is spectacular.
Dude, so
Uh, that was everything I wanted the 2000s X-Men movies train battle scene
good.
to be. It was, everybody using their powers, accurate depictions a bishop's powers being used, and
Yes.
how he like will throw his gun down, absorb something, shoot it back, but then pick the gun up because like he doesn't have constant charge. He needs to get charged.
Yep.
Also,
Charge
how
and
too
discharge.
much charge knocks him out, and like how accurately that even connects to if you don't know the comic book him, but you watch the show after playing the game and using Bishop, you're like, oh, I know what just
Yeah,
happened. Like
dude.
it's just that familiar, and it was so well done. But then also, I'm a little sad KB hasn't seen it
Yeah,
because
man.
KB, there is actual lessons to be learned in this episode for you.
For Cyclops,
Yeah.
man.
Because Cyclops uses his beams to slow his fall into the ground.
Dude.
And if they were laser
Whoa.
beams, that would just go
Right.
right through the
Yep.
ground.
Concussive blast.
So he literally is using
Oh.
it. They all get the what happens is the Blackbird gets ripped apart, and they're in the sky, and like you're all like, oh my god, what's happening? And then you realize like, oh, it's the X-Men, and like most of them can fly or do stuff. So like Rogue goes, does her thing, gets some, Storm gets some, and Scott's like, good job, both of you, I'll see you down. And then he just kind of does this whole like skydiver thing, just shoots his visor down and just slows his fall. And it's between that and using it, which is amazing. But in video games, when you've been able to use him, one of the most common movement abilities Cyclops has is using the beam to spin him. And they actually use that in the combat scene at the beginning of the episode. And it's
Yeah,
perfect.
he uses it to go backwards. Like like it looks like a backdash animation. I'm just saying,
It
Kabam.
does.
I'm just
Yeah,
He's
saying.
dexing.
Yes, he's
dexing.
texting.
It really does look like that. It is the combat in that is I don't care animated in 90s style, kind of modernized. It was engaging. It was
Yes.
awesome. It was beautiful. I was really just sold from that opener,
Mm-hmm.
and then the episode just got just way more, just so much juice in this. So Jay, what do you think of the next part?
Okay, so all right. Well, when you say next part, which part you mean? Because you kind of
So
jumped
let's
around.
work our way. So let's work our way from Sunspot is rescued
Okay.
and he's in the mansion.
Okay, he's in the mansion. Okay. Yeah, no, I really liked it. They show the danger room, which again is cool because Jubilee ran to the danger room in the original. Like it's just so good, man. Like I'm rewatching it now. They see the old Magneto. Wolverine even shows up. We see like the TV and everything. Scott really shines, I think. And this is like when I think of like the cool Scott, the cool Cyclops, I think of the animated show. I don't think of the comics because this show really kind of gravitates towards his character on being a leader because he was always the field mission leader and now he has to be the full leader until until later. But we'll get to it. But no, I think it's great. They go to the club because that's where Sunspot leaves the X Mansion, goes to the club. And
Which is fitting for his personality in the comics and everything. Like Roberto would go to the club. Like that's where he would go because he's used to partying all the time. So that's where his safe space is. And it's just so true to that character that they just introduced. But if you're like, I know him, that's where he would go. It's very cool.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. Xen's in the chat. Thanks, man. And same with Megatron. Thank you for the birthday wishes, guys. I'm reading. We're talking spoilers, so you don't got to be sorry. We're talking spoilers all day, every day today.
Absolutely.
Specifically for X-Men '97, there is no need to be sorry. But yeah, man, the club is awesome. It's really cool, and you got to see you really get to see Morph and Wolverine too. We'll talk about it, but their relationship is back. Like it's so cool.
I have so much
broship.
comments about that. Oh,
Dude.
I have so many comments about that, and I really am excited to hear that you have some thoughts about that too.
Yeah,
because I'm so happy about that. But that's a relationship that's so funny to me, but I love it. It's great.
Okay,
it's so fun.
This is the interesting part. So while they're at the club, Scott and Jean have to they go talk to Gyrick. Gyrick was the guy basically running the Sentinel program in the original show, and he's the one who killed Professor X.
Professor
Yes,
X.
in quotes for sure. And so Jean
Please
uses.
watch the last episode. It doesn't make sense, but at
Yeah.
least that one part
We'll
worked.
talk about that. But this is crazy. Jean uses Cerebro. Jean uses Cerebro to connect to Gyrick's mind, and some crazy crap happens. Some crazy seeing Master Mode, seeing
A lot of dark stuff.
a lot of dark stuff. Baby
look.
Cradle, this dusted figure, huh?
I said very apocalyptic.
Yes, very apocalyptic.
Mm-hmm.
A male voice going say, "No, not again! I'm so sorry," and then disappearing, and then the Master Mold, which was awesome. The voice of Master Mold was beautiful, and and then they get attacked. They're all in the Blackbird, and they get attacked by a Sentinel, and you get some more awesome fighting against the Sentinels. Man, it was amazing.
So good.
Morph turns into Archangel to save Wolverine, which was unexpected. Yeah,
but purified Archangel,
yes.
kind of like hero outfit, which is something he doesn't adopt for honestly, he wore it 15 years ago, our time. So during the 90s, which is when this would have been based, he's still Archangel, which is so cool because who doesn't love Warren? Everybody loves Warren. It's so great to see even him for a second.
That's very unexpected. Yeah. And like you
Quick
mentioned,
question, guys.
What's up?
Did the Sentinels have a clear class advantage?
No.
No, very much
Absolutely
not. This was not the Sentinels.
These were scrapyard Sentinels, I should say.
Even then,
scrapyard Sentinels.
We have to think about it as, at this point, they're trash.
Yeah.
They're trash mobs. They're clearing Sentinels to get to the next boss. Sentinels are never going to be. They might catch an X-Men off when they're not ready, but Morph's not getting blasted by a Sentinel this time. They fought them. They know how to take them.
And these are the same ones for 5 years ago for them. So they've nailed these down. They haven't changed. There's no funding for them anymore, anyways. So they can't. And I think they were. I'm rewatching the original show now, and the Sentinels they were slowly getting better as the funding got better. But once the funding got cut off, they were trash.
Which is how it fits into the comics too. That's exactly the whole life thing, and that's why usually Sentinel storylines don't always you go, well, why would the government do this? And you're like, yeah, it's not the government. When it starts getting really bad, it ain't the government anymore. It's terrorist organizations like Friends of Humanity or something that are running are funding it through having high-placed, very wealthy people that hate mutants, which couldn't relate to the current world at all. Right? That's not topical, maybe. X-Men should always be political because it is. Just saying.
Damn right.
Two-star Sentinels in there then.
Yes, very much.
Hey, you gotta remember, these are not ISO-infused Sentinels, so the ones we have in game are quite more powerful than the ones in the comics.
So I wanted to quickly touch on a couple things that we've one of the things that we've kind of moved without talking about her, but I want to really stick on Storm for a few minutes.
Yeah.
She's such a powerhouse in this, and I'm so thankful. This is the Storm that she was, but she's even getting more of a lead. She's not the leader, but she's also the leader. You're fully aware that she says something and they do it.
Oh, no, even for
Scott,
sure. For sure.
Because she, and also, the best line in the episode for me, which I did make a point of saying on Twitter, but I will say it again, is tell them the forecast. Come on. Scott says that and calls in the heavy, which is Storm, and she just starts blasting it. That was incredible. And also, I wanted to ask Jay. It is a small thing that leads into the next one, but did the hair give it away for you? Because the hair gave it away for me. Immediately I saw the hair, I knew what was happening.
Okay, the mohawk from
The
the
mohawk gave it away.
yeah.
That was as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's what they're gonna do. That's wild, but I can get it. And then they did it. So yeah,
Yeah,
but
I saw like Twitter complaining as Twitter always does, right? And they're like, why did they get rid of her beautiful hair? Why did they give her a mohawk? And I was
yeah,
like, well, I wonder why. What happened at this time in the
yeah.
comics?
It's so like that's how they're giving us their hints and their
Yeah.
little bits. And if this is how every episodes are gonna be like, I'm so excited because there's so much.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um,
There
yeah,
were two things I skipped over that I want to get back to real quick.
yeah,
First off, first class. We see first class in a picture in Xavier's
yes,
office. So that
we
was
sure do.
we do
And
see that.
they linger. We linger. So we get like a real good look at the first class. And
Yes.
it's nice to look at.
Yeah.
Bobby looks so cute there.
Bobby in the snow the snow body. Oh man, such a crazy thing. Beast with
Yeah.
his big non
Giant,
big
giant
feet.
hands and feet.
Yep,
Yeah.
with
Hey,
no
Bobby,
fur.
Careless Ape.
It's good.
R.I.P. R.I.P. Sorry, comic book sadness. Hank ate the Hank he was if you read the comic books.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super exciting seeing the first class. They did a lot of fan service with
Yes.
giving us a lot of like we got Psylocke, we got this person, we got
Dude,
that person.
oh
There
my
was just
gosh.
so many moments and
I love
of people popping up.
I love that I'll get into it, but I love that Morph is always the character who gives the most cameos. Like it's just, I'm glad they kept that from the original because you had Deadpool get a random cameo in the original show. No one ever expected because he had just made his debut in comics.
Yeah,
Like
it was so fun.
crazy.
So fun and the fluidity and the willingness to just present more and more of them as the episodes were going. We were getting more cameos, not like, oh, they burnt out what they could use for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's going into combat and he's using his shape-shifting ability
Yes.
in combat. But also I want to touch on it. We said we were going to touch on it, we're going to get there, but I really want to touch on you in my opinion, Morph is a stand-in though, right? Like he's there because they're not using someone else. That's you realize that, right? Like,
Okay, who do you think he's replaced? What do you mean? Like who?
he's Kurt. He's supposed to be Kurt.
Nightcrawler.
Rocking there. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Wolverine.
but
that's his best friend. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
Wolverine's best friend.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I know.
Um,
Well, Nightcrawler's coming, so we know that.
no, I definitely think I know Nightcrawler's coming, but
Yeah.
like the relationship they have
Yeah.
is very much the your little furball, like that whole back and forth of it, which is that antagonistic, but Kurt's the only one that can make Logan laugh.
Uh-huh.
And like we see Morph doing something like that. Like he does know how to get to Logan. And it's just I think they left Kurt out just because having Kurt front and center, they have to touch on a few things that are always difficult to touch about, but they did it a bit. How do you live as a religious man when you look like a devil? Like he says it, and how do you put that front and center? Because that's such a part of his character. That'd be heavy to a comic that, like, to a series that's already heavy with social commentary. So like Morph is Kurt without the baggage, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, he's got his baggage with Sinister, which we'll get. Which
yeah,
we can.
He has his other baggage, yeah, but not that. Like he's definitely got some baggage, definitely.
No, no, you're for sure right. Like you're totally right on there. And I think like honestly, when they do Nightcrawler, I'm guessing he's gonna have more relationship with Gambit than he is gonna have with Wolverine.
Or Beast, maybe they might connect because there's some, but mostly Gambit because there is that connection in the comics as well. The swashbuckler and Rogue kind of connection. They might do that.
Speaking of Rogue, the other thing I want to talk about is when they're at the club, Rogue just talks about if he touches a single person in there, you know exactly what's gonna happen, and they give us more of Rogue and Gambit's dynamics, which
yes.
don't pay. Well, I don't know. I don't know when they're gonna pay off, but it's still that same from the original show, which is interesting, especially when Nightcrawler gets introduced. I'm hoping to see them finally get together and be a family when Nightcrawler gets introduced as well.
So the thing with her saying that is she's so like that's kind of rogue until
Mm-hmm.
she goes through the thing really late, like only like again maybe 10 years ago in the
Yep.
comics, which is like 40 years later where they are in the show
Mm-hmm.
basically. Like it's so different, but only in the comics like 10 years ago did she find a way to break through that mental block
Yeah.
that made her absorb everybody. Like it's something that I feel like we will get to, but I feel like, obviously that her saying that and seeing how close they are, but how they can't be a real couple in in her mind
Mm-hmm.
in the same way is, they've touched on that in so many things with Rogue, but that's all in there to lead to the big gut punch. I
Mm-hmm.
think that it cements that there's this barrier between them being happy, and it gives you a gut punch, but also it's not something that you're not expecting to hear her say. So
Yeah.
you don't flag it as anything worrisome, and then
Until later.
it changes it. Yeah, it changes the game a little bit,
Yeah.
which
No,
is
for sure.
again very exciting.
All right.
But yeah, she was great though. I love the new Rogue, and I'm gonna say she's a cartoon character. Get off the whole we need a thick Rogue. Like she looks fine. She didn't look bad.
That's
She
funny,
looked fine. I really bummed me
dude.
out to see someone say like, really do miss the thick Rogue. Come on, like
Dude,
the
I
internet is
have you seen those
plentiful and
thread? The
everywhere.
thread on that is so funny because like obviously everyone knows that like that still of her fighting Apocalypse. Um,
Yeah,
I remember as
that's
a
so
kid,
nice.
like for sure it's memorable for sure. But
Yes,
she ain't caked up in every scene she's in, dog. Like it's never been that way.
no, and like that was that. Yeah, everybody's gonna remember these moments. Like
Yeah,
there's. I mean, I'm a kid. I'm a guy who grew up when Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
yeah,
Jessica
yeah.
Rabbit
No,
was
it
in
makes
my
me
brain for my
love that movie.
entire life. Like I am not like not in a weird way, but like if I think of attractive animated woman, Jessica Rabbit,
Hmm.
because that's what I learned. People will remember that. I watched that X-Men show. I remember that shot, and when it's referenced, I laugh. But
Yeah,
also, like, I'm almost 40. Let's
yeah,
come on. Let's realize that if you want that, the internet is plentiful and readily
yeah. Right.
available. Don't find it in Kid Show. And it's a
Yeah,
kid. I want to watch the show with my kid, and now I don't have to have that weird discussion why Rogue has a juicy double going on, and it's so available for view. Like I don't think that's
so
necessary.
funny.
So no, but I think that it was. I think that the characters were well represented. Also,
Yeah,
I want to talk about Remy for a second,
yeah.
really badly. Um, Remy really took a backstage in both these episodes in a
Yes.
major way,
Yes.
which is fine. I feel like the original show very much leaned on him
Yeah.
and a few other characters as their leads. And I have no problem with sitting back and like for him to sit back and let get Scott in there and set the stage because Remy's stories can get so wild and fun. And it's not but he was so great because the stuff that he does, the stuff that was referenced in comics, the stuff that if you know him, he likes to cook. They show him cooking for everybody.
Yeah.
The belly shirt is the greatest piece of 90s nostalgia
Yeah.
they could have given because that's the shirt from all the old X-Men volleyball or basketball. Like they used to do these old calendars that would come in Wizard magazines and stuff like this, or like these spreads where like the X-Men would be in swimsuits.
Yeah.
It was just for fun.
Hmm.
And Remy would wear shirts like that. Like that's just exactly his style. And for that time period, the hair was wonderful. Um, he was just really, really great. And if you told me he wasn't the original voice actor, which
Yes.
yes, that's no, it is obvious that's not the same voice, but he was smooth, and I have to say I was very much appreciative of them doing Remy right. Like, who doesn't love Gambit? And I just wish he would have had a little more time talking to Storm personally. A little
Yeah.
more
Oh
time.
yeah. Their connection. Their connection in the comics is 100% so important.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of those comics, right? Like, Gambit wasn't put on the map until the animated show. Like, this is what brought Gambit to being such an iconic character in the X-Men franchise. Was the show like
Well, he's the hero. He's the hero of the first episode of the show. Like, he saves
Yeah.
Jibs. Like, he comes in there with the playing cards, and you're just like, I love him. Like, that's how
Yeah.
you feel because he's so charming right away. And he's so flirty and fun. And yeah, like, nobody cared about him.
Mm-hmm.
He was an unimportant character, and so much so that when the animated show ended, they had to do some really crazy stuff with that
Yes.
character to make him relevant until they realized maybe we don't and just keep him for who he is because people like him. Like, they made him such a so his story is so wild. We'll talk
Yes.
about that one
Yeah. Like
day.
going to New Sun and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Oh, just the first part with Sinister. Oh,
Yes.
oh
Oh
boy.
man,
But yeah, I think the first episode was
dude,
fantastic,
it
and
was great.
I liked how it ended off. Like, I really enjoyed the. So they talked about DaCosta.
Yes.
Um, they talked about his family.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, he makes a point of mentioning his family is extremely powerful,
Mm-hmm.
and they really are.
Yes,
They're
indeed.
like one of the largest crime families in the world, and his father, I believe, is a member of the Hellfire Club currently.
Interesting.
So that in the show, so that I believe will lead to, like, based on that timeline. So I believe that will lead to a possibility of seeing more Hellfire Club show up. But also, as I mentioned, I don't think we've seen the last of him. I don't think this is a cameo moment. I think
Yeah,
we're
no, this for sure is like,
yeah.
I really like his send off with Jubilee. And he's like, it's really
Oh, the
nice.
arm.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's really nice to be with a family that loves you. And he like shows his mutant power where his arm is glowing like a sun, and Jubilee has to use her shades to see him.
Yeah,
It's like such a
that's
cool
so cool.
moment. And he's
Oh,
talking about being an X-Men with this mutation. And it's just so cool, and I'm really excited. I definitely think, I don't like, this is such a, like, he's coming back, and we already kind
yeah.
of mentioned, like, you have the New Mutants,
Yes.
which
And
he,
if they do mutants, oof,
yeah, oh man,
there's so many characters. Well, I mean, the interesting thing is the end of the episode.
yes,
We danced around it, but
here
one
it
of the
is.
main big moments as a new headmaster at Xavier's Institute.
Someone shows up. We all know him. We all love
He
or hate
takes his
him.
helmet off. Takes that helmet off.
That beautiful red helmet.
Puts on a professor's outfit, more or less, and Professor Mags showing up for duty. Good old Eric in charge.
Magneto.
Magneto has been left the entire Xavier fortune and properties in the last will and testament of Charles Xavier. It's something that if you are unfamiliar with the comics, not recent, but we're talking old.
Yeah.
We're talking when Morph was introduced, more or less, in the comics. He wasn't called Morph. He was called Changeling. When he was introduced, there was this whole thing. Xavier dies.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't. He went into hiding to fight an alien invasion. But nobody knew that, except for one guy who had his memory wiped. That's the character Morph's based off of. His name's Changeling. He changed into Xavier, and then he did die, and they thought Xavier died at that point, but no. But Eric took over in the comics. And one of the things that happened was the New Mutants really hit their stride in that period. That's why I feel like we might be seeing New Mutants, but someone's in charge of the X-Men now that's used to fight them? Jay. KP.
So do we
What
get
can
a
we do?
new do we get a new champ in game this year, Professor Max? Maybe next time.
That'd be fantastic. But honestly, um, his costume is very accurate to the uniform is very accurate to the comic book. When he did do the change of personality, trying the good with the
Yeah.
long hair.
Yep.
I don't know if you noticed that.
Trial of Magneto.
Yeah, Child Magneto. He is definitely trying based
Dude.
off of the second episode, but we'll jump in there in 1 second.
Okay. Okay.
That moment where you look at Scott looking at him and understanding that like he has no choice
Yeah.
in this matter, and that in his mind
He felt betrayed,
the,
dude.
the complete betrayal
Yeah.
that Charles did. Like, what do you do in that moment? And the thing that's mentioned, it's not mentioned enough in the show, but one of the things that actually makes him fairly boring in the comics and in other media, but also is a very important character point for Scott. He truly believes in the dream. Even the fact that how the dream isn't like actually a functional thing is like that ignores the fact of people being people on top of everything. Like mutants are people and everybody's people, and not everybody gets along with everybody no matter what. So like the dream, you need to do more than just hope. And like Scott understands that, but also truly believes in that dream, even probably more than the professor does. And to watch the professor in his mind betray that dream by giving the school and everything that technically should be his, because he is his son basically,
Yeah.
or Jean's, because she's like his daughter, and they're like been raised like that, gives it to his mortal enemy.
Yeah. An ex-bestie.
Ex-bestie. I mean, the betrayal, but truly the way that Max speaks of Charles later
Dude,
is quite eloquent.
yeah, that was cool. I really liked that moment.
Beautiful. Touched my heart talking about the comforting. Oh,
Yeah.
so beautiful. Let's hop into the second episode.
All right, dude. Well,
This is all still the first episode?
Now we're on second
was
episode.
all
That was
the
all the
first.
first episode.
Oh my god.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch 5 seasons of the original. Then you gotta watch this.
You don't.
No, you don't.
You don't have to watch 5 seasons.
Just-
If you want to know, watch the last episode, which only watch, see something happen, see him be okay, but go away, and then don't worry about anything else because the rest of it's not important. But basically, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Then watch the new episode.
I was so hyped listening to you guys talk about this, thinking that was it. And you're like, let's start episode 2.
There's now episode 2. Yeah.
That's episode 2 now.
Damn. All right. Yeah.
Dude, it's that
Fill
good,
me in.
man. Dude, okay, so we start off in the sewers. The Morlocks, man. Oh,
There are
man.
Morlocks.
The
And we get
Morlocks.
all of them. We get a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like, there's Callisto.
Callisto,
and,
Leech.
what's her face? Leech. We get what's the woman's name? Face? Is her name Face?
I
think
don't
her name's
remember, I'll be
Face.
honest.
I think her name's Face, but like we get so many different Morlocks, which is so exciting because we
Yeah.
haven't seen them since the original. But yay!
Dude, in the Morlocks, if you guys don't know, they have the tattoo of the M on them, the branding of the M, which is important for Bishop's story and so many Gambit's story. There's so many stories that, and Leech is just such a cool character as well. We didn't really get to see him shine in this episode at all, but Magneto comes and saves them. They're being attacked by the FOB, and Magneto just gives this badass speech. He was like, you're not even gonna allow them to live in this, like, the sewers, the scum that you, like, your scraps, like, it's like insane. Like, it was such a good speech. And he talks to Leech. He's like, I promise you, child, you shall never be afraid again. And you're like, damn, am I rooting for Magneto? Like,
Well, I mean, yeah, like that is though, like, that's the Mags that you're like, oh, he has a point.
yeah, like this is
They are
like,
being like that. They are kind of being exterminated, and like they could wipe us out, but most choose to be chill. Why are we the aggressor? Like, you get that point. Like, he's like, we are not killing you. You're welcome. And like, thank you for that, because like you see how easily he handles them, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's nothing for him.
he's like, your
And-
powers of electricity and magnetism are intimately I'm intimately acquainted with.
Yeah, I mean, the two things that he's most connected to being the electromagnetic spectrum, and just, hey, there you go. It's just that's his powers. But I mean, I think we'll see Leech. By the way, I think
Yeah,
we'll get more Leech.
I'm
Leech
glad.
has always been a big favorite, and I mean, at least for the holiday episode, because they did that last
Yeah.
time. We used to
Mm-hmm.
get them for the holiday
Mm-hmm.
episodes.
There was a
Yeah,
funny moment right after this that that Bishop says, "I've seen a lot of futures, but Magneto leading the X Men."
yeah,
I was like, "That's
yeah.
funny."
That was a pretty good one because that's actually like a really common thing too.
Yeah,
Like Mags leads the X Men like half the time. If
yeah,
Xavier's not there, usually Mags starts at X Men. It's just what happens because he cares that much about what Charles wants to do. Um,
dude.
Specifically, feel like this is all pointing towards something though, and like it's all pointing towards a specific future timeline because
I'm.
like all the references to these things, all the little
Mm-hmm.
moments we're getting, you know, as I'll repeat, things are looking a little apocalyptic.
Apocalyptic.
Mm.
Indeed, man.
But yes, that first opening was incredible. We get the Morlocks. Following that, though, the mentioning and the establishment and recognition of Genosha,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yep.
mutant country
I'm scared. I'm
of
scared of
Genosha.
doing Genosha.
If you are familiar with Genosha, let's all lower our heads for a moment of silence because nothing good comes with
Yes.
Genosha. You think give the people land, give them the home. All you did was pick a place to target them. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's so scary. And I'm gonna say, if if they go that route, could be the darkest storyline ever done in a kids series of all time. I just if they mention Cassandra, I'm out. I'm done. I'm gone.
Oh.
I'm running. Wild Sentinels, no thank you. Um, it's really exciting to also see the character Valerie Cooper. I wanted to know if you had caught that and thought that was really fun to see Val show back up because Val is like a '90s blue team, gold team comic book person who worked her way into the government. She's still, I think she
Yeah.
might have died. I can't remember,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
she was an old favorite. Also, an ex of Hank's. She used to date Hank in the comics.
Not surprised.
Ladies' man,
Yeah, ladies man, dude. I mean, all the X Men are ladies man. Like, let's be honest. Like, it's go both ways.
or men's men.
Yeah,
Bobby can
exactly.
get.
Yes.
I wanted to ask also. We did see First Class, and before we didn't see more Bobby. We didn't see more First Class. I wanted to ask: do you think, as any kind of guess, do you think we'll get Bobby represented currently, or do you think they'll just skate past it? And that was actually an
Um,
intentional pun.
I am not sure on that at all.
Well, they made Lorna a big part of his introduction when he was introduced last time, and that was a since it's been since he's came out, it's been recognized that that was like something he did intentionally to hide who he was from himself.
Mm-hmm.
So it just would be a very interesting move to make, but I think it would be really great. Like I don't see why they wouldn't. Like he could just make a reference to uh what's his name? Pierre? Is that his name? They could make a comment about maybe him dating North Star. Just recognize that there's another character that is LGBT and he's gay and he's in the comics and they could introduce like just he's so it's taken so long for him to be true and like be the character and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all the hints that were made for decade are finally paid off and he's now like fully out. I just think it'd be interesting if they did that. I think it would be good. A really positive move forward. But then again, do you think we'll see Bobby?
I think we will, but I don't think he'll have. I don't think he'll be a main or like even a side. I mean, in the original show, he was only in like what 5 episodes, give or take.
Maybe.
Um,
He like made mostly past stuff, not
yeah,
he
yeah,
was like in like
and
two currents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think they're gonna do the fro class, and I think when Jean like she even holds like her outfit too, like her Marvel Girl
Yes, the
outfit.
Marvel Girl outfit.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I think they're kind of leaving the past behind, and they're kind of only going for the future for sure.
I love that.
I
I
want
love
I
that.
want to see him show up, but you know, I don't expect it.
I don't expect it right away. I expect them to go with what they've got for a while, but wow, did they really step it up though? This one, there was a lot of interesting stuff. Did you catch any time there was a newspaper? It was a Daily Bugle, by the way.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah,
Every
Oh,
single time.
connected animated
Uh,
universe. Let's remind ourselves.
yep. The other thing I wanted to point out is they play a lot of basketball, and that is extremely accurate. As I mentioned, they used to do
Yeah.
these basketball calendars, but they also used to just do like in the comics, they were always playing a pickup game of basketball
Hmm.
or something as they're getting a call to go, like they have to go do something. And
Yeah.
like, I mean, when I was a kid, I wasn't, my parents got really anti-comic for a while, so I used to trick them by reading the novel, like these Marvel novels, which were really fun, but they were like novels. And
Interesting.
one of them specifically dealt with they had to go deal with something with uh Death Cry, and they had to go into space and all this other stuff, but they're playing basketball until a Shi'ar ship crashes.
Yeah.
And it's just such a moment that like they always do it. It was just so wonderful that they
Dude,
they they thought to do that.
this show and then X Men Evolution, like I remember
Yep,
Evolution always like they were always doing some type of games, training, like baseball, and which them using their mutant powers to play. I like how in this one they said no powers, but I was like, where's
no
the fun in
powers.
that? Where's the
Well,
fun
they
in that?
usually do. The
Yeah,
basketball usually was no powers in the
yeah,
comic, like that good thing, because it was such a fun thing.
yeah.
Um, so this episode, it starts off with the trial of Magneto, more or
Mm.
less. He gets arrested very shortly in. They say he realizes that he needs to work with Scott. Like he can't just charge in there and force Scott. He wants to make an effort. He feels very personally, right,
Hmm.
about Charles taking this chance with them, which is exactly what happens in the comics during this period.
Yeah.
Like it actually makes a fundamental change into Eric's heart, and he wants to make Xavier's dream work. He wants to make it live up for his dearest friend, who he truly loved. They it's the one thing I think that I actually enjoyed the X-Men First Class movie, and I thought the second one was pretty good. We won't talk about the third or the fourth one, but
Yeah, no, for
the
sure, for
first
sure.
two are really fun. And one of the things they did excellently, especially in those two, is the relationship
Yes.
between Charles and Eric. It's
Hmm.
really, really how I always pictured it. Um, if I would have seen it in a movie, that's how I would have always pictured it. So it's perfect. And I find that the way they show Eric really making an effort is quite moving. Like it's really like you go, whoa, this isn't the Mags that it was. Like it's not that angry. He's making an effort,
Yeah.
and it all seems like it's gonna kind of be okay. He makes his way to court, and then Jay, you want to take it from there because a lot happens. And
Okay, yeah, a lot does happen. We mentioned okay, so yeah, Max showed up. I guess we can explain. Like, Max showed up at the mansion, and so the government comes to the mansion and says, "Hey, we're arresting Magneto." Magneto, they have like guns that are like anti-magnetic, and they're like, "You can't use your powers on us." And he starts
yeah,
moving the helicopters. He's like,
it's a
"Really?"
good scene.
It turns them upside down so the Blade Runner, like the blades, are coming at them. Like it was
Yeah, it's
sick.
a good scene. He's like, I'll
Um,
get you no matter what you do.
yeah, and it was so cool. And he's like, "Well, if I do this trial, you guys will trust me. Like, 'cause, I'm here. Like, we're doing this. I'll earn your trust if it's needed." Because he had a conversation with Rogue, talking about his relationship with Xavier and why this means so much to him. Is because it's for his friend, and it's for the better. It's for the better of his kind, for mutant kind, which I think is really cool. And you see Magneto's character growth. So he's he's on trial. You know, he's on camera on the world, and he sounds like Xavier. He even scoffs a few times because he's like, I can't believe I'm saying this, and it's really funny. Yeah. But it's so like the political like the social commentary is like what I love about X-Men, and just how well Magneto gives his speech. And just saying we're like mutants are we're facing extinction. Like you can like you look at these callers, you look at this like how you treat us and everything, and as an assassin tries to kill him, or not kill him, but take his powers with a gun designed from the collar technology that dampens powers.
Not just anybody though. Executioner, which is
Executioner,
very fun. Yes. Executioner, very fun.
Yeah, Executioner, which they can go in a few storylines with Executioner.
Just him coming back will be a whole bunch of stuff.
Absolutely. But even though the assassin was for Magneto, Magneto does not get hit by this gun. This gun actually hits Storm.
Yeah, Storm's been depowered.
Storm has no powers now.
Storm is now on a baseline, genetically human. The powers are gone. Her X gene is gone. It was a concentrated blast.
A permanent dampening.
Dampened, but permanent dampening. Like it's as if it will never be accessible. It will never be accessible. It's covered up, and that's devastating for someone who could feel and breathe with the wind.
Mm-hmm.
She could sense a storm on the other side of the world, and now she's locked in this cage of her head, and it leaves her on the ground in agony, not from the blast, although the blast looks quite painful, and then you see the outfit afterwards, and there's quite the blaster mark. She seems to be no more damaged than completely depowered and devastated.
Yeah, she is sobbing and reaching for the heavens and saying, "I can't feel anything." Like it's
whimpering, weeping, like it's heartbreaking. This show's voice acting was so on point. As corny as some of these lines were, this was it was wonderful. It's such a real moment that happens also in the comics. It's a very important. One of the reasons I asked if the hair gives it away is because in the comics, that is the hairstyle she has when she is accidentally hit by her boyfriend at the time, create a weapon he created without the knowledge of her, the other X-Men. Forge to create a weapon that could depower Storm. Anybody. And it was used on Storm, and Storm lost her powers. And yet...
For years.
And yet they did something that doesn't happen in the comics with her character. She leaves. And that is not something that happens in the comics. She stays in the comics.
Yeah, she
leads the team.
Yeah, she leads the team for like 4 years, I think.
Later, but that's not at that point. She's already gone from the team at that point. Like she comes back and they help her through, and she leads the team. She's like it's actually an iconic run, which has some really wild moments, like the first meeting of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four actually exists during that period where she's depowered. Okay. Your favorite character, Franklin Richards. Anyways,
I know. I wanted to get to the point where Storm's on, like you said, she's whimpering, and Magneto just takes the time to just show his powers. He's like, I tried it your way. I tried to do this trial right. I knew it wasn't a fair trial. And he moves the ground beneath everyone and goes to above the clouds with the judges that are trying to, prove him guilty. And he's like, there was a time I'd smite you for what you've done to Storm. Like, like squash you like a bug. And it's like, I want you to remember this view of the Earth. Like, it's just insane.
It has Asteroid M vibes too. Really awesome vibes to it.
Yes, like
dude, how long How long are these episodes?
23
27
minutes. Yeah,
minutes.
23 to 27 minutes.
Okay. I need to
30.
go to bed after this, but I'm not going to
Dude.
bed and I'm not watching both of these episodes.
They're so
It's
good.
so
We
good.
haven't even gone to the best part.
Oh,
The
man.
Oh,
ending is
fuck.
the best part. I will say that I had one person told me this, and since then I've told 4 to 5 people. They go, the first episode, and I go, wait, the second one, and the response is always, oh my goodness, because are you from? Hey KB, are you familiar with the Dark Phoenix saga and like the whole Jean Grey of it all, and what happened to her before and after, and what that whole timeline thing is? Are you familiar with that?
No, not very familiar.
Okay, so uh, basically, there's two genes. One's the Phoenix, and one's Jean. Except the gene that we think it's is Jean is actually the Phoenix, and the real Jean's under the water and been put in a hibernation chamber, basically created by the Phoenix to heal. She more or less dies almost coming
Mhm.
down from space, and the Phoenix doesn't want her to die, so heals her, and then goes around being her. Then the Shi'ar show up. She goes Dark Phoenix. Shi'ar show up, and they kill her. And that's how Jean Grey dies. And then Scott meets a girl that looks exactly like Jean, exactly like Jean, almost like a clone. Oh wait, she's a clone. Her name is Madeline Pryor. And guess what? Guess who's in this show? Guess who's Jean? Jean's not
Madeline.
Jean in this show. It's been Madeline. Because the whole time we never mentioned Jean's pregnant.
Jean is pregnant.
Except if you read the comics and you know the lore, Jean's never been pregnant in her body.
Only
But
in the
Madeline
future.
sure has. Madeline's baby, which she names after the end of the episode, is Nathan Summers.
Nathaniel Charles
No.
Nathaniel. Good old Cable.
Summers.
Hi,
Wow.
Cable. And that is the birth of Cable Summers. That's Cable. We've got Cable now in the X-Men 97. Not old man Cable who comes back and gets Wolverine to fight Apocalypse.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Real baby Cable. And
What could be
think
Nate.
could be Nate, but Nate was genetically created.
Yes,
He
yes.
was not born. And that's the thing. The only baby to be born in that timeline, in that time, and from Madeline Pryor is Nathaniel, is Cable.
It is.
Otherwise, it'd be Rachel from a future body, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And you think, wow, oh my God, that's such a spoiler. And I mean, that's such a big moment. And like, what could it mean for everything? And oh my God, what could it mean? Because it can mean everything. Because they've introduced the Goblin Queen. And I'm not going to go into details about that because there's so much. But what I will say is that's not the only thing we had. I mean, Jay, you want to tell us about Mags and Rogue? You want to give us a little bit of that?
Oh, God. Rolling my eyes at that. Genosha was also... They pardoned Magneto from the trial. Let's just say that.
Yes.
Genosha is recognized by the UN because they want to join the UN. Magneto and Cyclops bond over coffee, saying
They send the Morlocks to Genosha too.
Yes, the Morlocks, which is
as
pretty
free
cool.
mutants. Yeah.
And Beast tells Storm her powers are permanently dampened. Her DNA is kind of irreparable. He needs more tests, but pretty much what he can see is that it's permanent. And so
she's human now.
Yeah, she's human now, and she's like, she looks at her costume that has a giant scorch mark on it, and it gives a letter to Jean saying, "My sister, it's time to. I know it's hard to say goodbye, and you've done it already so much, but it's my time to leave." And she leaves.
It's such a dark letter, though. It's such a dark letter. And she says, like, we're not the same anymore, and all this, like...
She gets scared by the lightning, and you could, like, feel it.
Oh, yes. Oh, that was so heartbreaking.
Dude.
Yeah. But yeah, Storm leaves, and then what?
Right after that, you see Magneto and Rogue share an intimate moment where they hold each other's hands, skin to skin contact.
Skin to skin contact.
Ugh, I don't know.
That is something that leads to the final thing I've been hinting towards. We're headed towards the Age of Apocalypse, guys.
Age of
This
Apocalypse,
is
baby.
this is all headed towards there. The Magneto Rogue relationship, the Gambit pushed to the side. You mean like the Exterminators? Like what he ends up doing with that. This is all leading towards an alternate timeline. Like this is all going to be leading towards that, I believe, and we'll probably. I believe that in the Vision, not again, not again. I think that's a boy JX right here. I think that might be Legion.
Man. Oh, I'm
Rambling
freaking
through
excited.
time.
Oh man, I'm very excited. It's crazy too because like Rogan and Rogue and Magneto's relationship is only really most prevalent in two comics that have to do with Legion. You know, Age of Apocalypse. You know, created by a world created by Legion.
And the other one,
And yeah, Age of X.
Age of X.
Age of X. Which Magneto and Rogue did have.
She's not. Yeah.
Yeah, which
past
transferred
times.
over to Age of X, but then was disbanded afterward, thankfully. Because I just want to, we don't technically know Rogue's age, but if you know how old Eric, and what being
He's
from
like
World War II,
100. But he's like, yeah, like he's so much older because also like there's all these different times where he's went different places and lived.
Mhm.
Like none of these characters are at the age they are, and it's all like anytime the best character in the world is Wolverine because every time you see him in a bar and some young girl hits on him, they make a point of him going, "Get the hell out of here!"
Mhm.
Like he doesn't want to mess with anybody. Like he's like, "I'm too old for everybody
Yeah.
who's alive. Go away." But yeah, it's an uncomfortable thing. But just to explain, we discovered in the Age of Apocalypse comic that Magneto's magnetism powers
Mhm.
and his control over and ability to manipulate the electromagnetic spectrum allows him to be actually the only person at that time that Rogue can touch. And
Only.
completely. Only
Yeah.
person. There's
Yeah.
nobody else in the world at that point that we know of that she can touch. So, someone who's desperate for physical companionship in any form and touching someone's skin.
Yeah.
So what if he's committed genocide so many times?
So what if he's 100 years old?
But yeah, that's basically
Yeah, and to give on that is like when you guys see how powerful Magneto is, one of the main things is his freaking force fields. Like, kind of think of it as like his force field is basically on his skin, like an easy way to explain
and
it.
it's impenetrable.
Yeah, like, and that's why her powers really don't work, because she needs to touch him, but she can't technically touch him because his
Like,
powers are.
He blocks
Yeah.
the electrons or one of them.
It's comics.
So
It doesn't like you don't have to
Yeah.
big brain it, but yeah, for sure.
But basically, he's an Omega mutant on a very high scale. He's one of the strongest mutant. Like he's an Omega level, which there are a lot of. But like the same reason they point out that Storm is before she loses her powers, so's Max.
God, I
They are
love
both
Storm.
Omega level mutants. They said that, by the way, Omega
Yes.
incoming. And I was
Fine.
like, yeah, she is the queen. The goddess has arrived.
Dude.
It was fantastic.
you mentioned it, but I do miss Storm like always announcing it. Like that was one thing in the first episode where they were like, "Well, that announcement was was like I was like that's funny." Like that I like a lot of stuff. It's like I said it before it happened, and it was so cool. Like I definitely felt like a fanboy.
It was completely satisfying in every way. You do not need to watch the previous. Although, if you have the time, put them on. Like, the old X-Men show is such a joy. Like, this is all this excitement that you're hearing in my voice and Jay's voice.
Yeah.
This is legitimately just the fandom that, like, started it all. Like, I didn't know X-Men. I knew DC. I was a DC kid. My dad loved DC, so I grew up with DC. And then X-Men came out. And I watched that and I went, I love Marvel, and like that's why Wolverine's as big as he is. Like these are why all these characters are as big as they are because of this show. And they brought it back, and they've done it so well. And we have 2 seasons locked down and done already.
Dude, it's crazy.
So we are eating, as they say. We are eating well, and we will continue for a while. So I'm really excited. And boys, it was great talking to you tonight. What a fun time. KB, you better watch
Watch
the
the
next
show.
time so
Watch it.
you can be
Dude.
part of this.
No lie, no lie. I've had an amazing time chatting with you guys,
Hell yeah.
and I've just been sitting here like, I'm like, well, it's 10:06 now. I'm gonna go watch these episodes. Like,
Just now or your time, man.
hyped, dude. Y'all got me hyped, so I'm definitely gonna watch them.
Check it out, man.
Unfortunately, it's gonna be tonight. Unfortunately for future Kyle tomorrow morning, but I'm gonna do it for KB.
All right, buddy.
Cool,
Go
man.
ahead, Kyle. Whatever.
Well,
fuck it, but
yeah, man, you and Coco, man, we're
It's out.
excited to chat about this one.
Yeah, this is gonna be we'll have a conversation about this. We had 2 episodes, so it took the whole podcast.
Yeah.
But this will be an ongoing thing. We will be discussing the show as one of the things we discuss. But next week we have a lot to go over. We have Destroyer. Yes, he was pre-release bundle, but we will have a deep dive into the lore. We will be taken into the Legion's library and given a full breakdown on all the history and the coolest things.
There's a long history. You want to know about all the history?
No, there's a lot of history, but the significant stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Guardian Destroyer. We will.
Oh
also
yeah,
be
Emrock.
talking-
I want to get about Emrock too.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of opportunity to talk about the new episode that will be coming out, and on top of all that, anything that might be happening, such as Woe or anything else that comes up. But I think that's gonna be it for tonight, guys. What do you think?
Indeed, it's been dope, man. It's dude, X-Men means so much to me. You know, my dad got me into X-Men. I have X-Men comics from when I was super young. It's pretty awesome to get this.
Well, the whole time I watched the episodes today, all I could think of was Jay's gonna lose his mind. Like the whole time,
Dude,
that was
it was so
all
good,
that kept
yeah.
going on.
My brother, my
Alright,
brother
that's-
loved it too, man. It was great.
that's making me more hyped because I'm gonna be sitting there. I'm gonna be like, oh.
Hey man, make
Yeah.
BAM hype too, dude. They released like an animation today, so like that was pretty cool. I saw that.
Yeah. So cool. Everything was. This was a good day.
It was a good
This
day
was a
indeed.
good day. On that note, I'm gonna go head off for the night.
Yes, sir.
I will see you guys next week.